Good afternoon, everyone. We're so glad that you could join us at the first virtual University of Livingstonia Foundation fundraiser. We're thrilled to have you with us, and we're looking forward to having a truly wonderful afternoon full of presentations. You'll learn a lot about the university and also some entertainment that I'm sure you will all enjoy. I attend St. Matthew Presbyterian Church in Silver Spring, Maryland, and our pastor, Reverend Leslie Klingensmith, has always been a great promoter of the foundation and of the university for actually many, many years. So Pastor Leslie is going to open the program. Go ahead, Leslie.
Thank you, Donna. It's my honor and privilege to be with you all today. As Donna said, St. Matthew has supported the University of Livingstonia for, I believe, about 13 or 14 years now, ever since we got to know Donna. But our involvement has increased over the years. We look forward to our in-person fundraisers for the University of Livingstonia Foundation every September. And this year, as so many things are, this is different. But one of the gifts of this technology is being able to actually have students from the university with us. I got to meet some of them online yesterday, found them delightful, and I'm looking forward to hearing more from them today. I do invite you to come and visit St. Matthew Presbyterian Church in person when circumstances allow that again. And I just want to say again how glad St. Matthew is to support the University of Livingstonia Foundation. What an honor it is for us to be part of something that is changing so many lives, and how thrilled we are to be with you today. So hope you enjoy the fundraiser and look forward to hearing from you all now.
So I am going to be introducing our Master of Ceremonies for the afternoon, Zipa Vokiwa. Zipa is an associate professor at Mercer University who teaches biology and environmental science. He is interested in STEM education and sustainability initiatives. And currently he is the president-elect for the Environmental Education Alliance of the state of Georgia. So Ken, take it away, and thank you.
All right, thanks, Donna, and I'm grateful to be nominated one more time to be an MC for this important fundraising for the University of Livingstonia, which I've been involved with since 2008, and I feel honored to lead you. Ken and I have been to the university twice in 2018 on a mission that was worth our time. And when I went to the university, I heard the name Ken Gentili, and who had been there since 2007 with his wife. And their support for the centers around the world has been well known at Livingstonia. When I went there, 08, again 2018, Ken, I think, was also given a local name. He will tell us about that. So, Ken, your turn.
Hello, how is everybody? Thank you, Zipa. My Malawian name was Mzembe.
Mzembe, yes.
That was because of my 70th birthday there, and I got a local tradition because of that. Sylvia is beside me, and she and I wish well wishes to all who are attending this fundraiser. But I had 7 slides, and I'll just have to let you know what they were as I speak. The first picture was the one that Sylvia and I first took in 2007 when we began volunteering in Malawi. It's a picture of a blown up globes that we had brought with us, and we captured these young girls looking at this beautiful globe, and they were just quickly, Sylvia and I just quickly led us to that our motto of hands around the world, help Malawians achieve their goals. In our continuation, Sylvia continued to support community health and early childhood development. My daughter, Joanna, has developed solar products for Africa. And as Zipa says, I continue to support the University of Washington. The next picture was of UNILIA, in which talking about some of the things that we've been supporting. We can't obviously do a whole bunch in this short period of time. What it shows is our first computer-based teaching learning classroom. John Kaira is there leading a workshop on learning objects. We had a long weekend of multiple workshops to improve teacher learning environments. So this was our takeoff and what we did during that particular time. Another area which Zipa and Kanya Greer from Southern and myself is what Zipa was referring to, was that we had vernier science equipment that we brought, and this was a series of 3 faculty workshops that we did that were putting together how students and faculty members could learn using scientific equipment. And one of the pictures has a picture of students or faculty members actually using digital microscopes. And then when Zipa and I, the next picture is a picture of both Zipa and myself. When Zipa and I began our talking about this fundraiser, we decided that we would walk a 500-mile trek, which is about 800 kilometers. This is about the length of Lake Malawi if you go by M1. So we were kind of imitating, let's walk the length of Lake Malawi. And and see what we can do to raise some funds. Um, the the picture of me on the right, which I don't have my shirt on, was the first day of my trek, and it was the celebration cloth that I went out, which was the first graduation in 2007, where UNILIA graduated 35 proud school teachers. And as I recall, it was about 8,000 yards of cloth that were printed for this celebration. It was quite an event. The next picture and the next ones I'm just going to skip over was because I trekked multiple ways in and around the trails, and I really wanted to support Malawi. So I eventually was convinced that I should wear a sign. And so I had numerous conversations with people that I passed on the trail. Many people, I was surprised, many people, especially in this area, shared their previous connection with Malawi. And to my bewilderment and surprise, many people gave a donation as we talked. I thanked them for their generosity and gratitude. I was very grateful for their spontaneity of what they were sharing with me on the trail. The last picture that I had in the slide is Sylvia taking a picture of me on my last mile, which was more than a week ago. And we had sent out notification to many of our donors and other people that we were going to do this. And so Sylvia and many of you who walked with me, I thank you so much, who walked, ran, swam, or biked with me during the last 500th mile that I was in. So I encourage others to donate, and you who are here, to the University of Livingstone Foundation. And I believe very strongly that we are in one effort to support the University of Livingstone to help Malawians achieve their dreams. My final thought is this. When I met others who were walking safely, I would ask them to join my virtual walking team. You too can join my virtual walking team. And many said, what? Is there something we should be doing? No, I said, no, just be out there safely. And they looked at me and they said, the response that I got over and over again, you can join with what I'm asking you. You can join with others around the world who are so spiritually supporting each other. And people would just raise their hands and says, yes, we need that spiritualness. So in this fundraiser, we can be larger than we have been, and we can continue to encourage people to walk and walk with us for Malawi. So stay safe and enjoy walking outdoors. That's it.
All right. Thanks, Ken. And I can also joke to say, what can an 80-year-old offer better than what Ken did? I'm only 19 years, so I'll not compare. At this stage in time, I wanted to introduce David and Laura Sangri, who've been in Malawi as Peace Corps. I'll not try to say or share with you what they have done there. I would like them to share with us what Malawi was like to them during their time there. Then the story will be much better than me coming in. So, David, your turn.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My wife and I were in Malawi about 30 years ago, and we had an opportunity to visit Livingstonia as part of a trip to the north. And my wife was teaching at the university, the Polytechnic in Blantyre, while I was working with the National Credit Union system. And we have a deep love of Malawi and have been contributing to different groups in Malawi for many years. But we learned about the University of Livingstonia a few years ago and have been donors to it, and recently had an opportunity to contribute toward a new computer lab that was developed at the university. They apparently took a building from a secondary school that was converted into the computer lab. And as a donor, we appreciated the information we received about the donation. We got to see pictures of the school that was developed. and we felt like our donation really was going to a really important project. So we're glad to be part of this Zoom StreamYard meeting today, and hope that and are anxious to learn more about the university, as well as see some of the students who are there. So thank you very much for the chance to be on today.
All right. Thanks, David. Was Laura just next to you?
She's here, but she's listening.
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks. Thanks, David, for your sharing. And as a Malawian, I thank you for what you are doing for the university. When you were at the poly, you were only 60 miles to my home in Mulanje. But let's leave it there.
I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Well, I go to the movie and I go downtown. Somebody keep telling me don't hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Then I go to my brother and I said, brother, 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 help me please. But he winds up knocking me right back down on my knees. Oh, and there's been times when I thought I couldn't last for long, but now I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Said I know change is gonna come.
Wow, that was very beautiful. I wanted to share with you guys that the fundraising target for this occasion is $10,000. But as of today, $4,170 has been raised. So if you know colleagues out there, good-hearted people who are willing to support the initiative for the University of Livingstonia, please take the word and get it out there. It also helps, apart from the technology we are dealing with at this stage in time. It is my privilege to introduce the Vice Chancellor of the University of Livingstonia, Dr. Reverend Timothy Nyasulu. I'm grateful to mention this name because Dr. Nyasulu and I met in 2018 when we were invited to lead the Vernier workshop at the campus, at the Laws campus.
Thank you. Thank you so much for today. It has been a day that we have been waiting for long. And through the president of the foundation, Donna, we thank you so much for arranging this day. And with me here in Malawi, I have Gome, who is the Planning and Development Officer. I also have Reverend Godwin Chirambo. Godwin Chirambo is one of the early graduates of UNILIA and has just finished his master's in world Christianity. But the specialization of his dissertation was on the early childhood development. We also have 3 students with us. The three of them are already in the third year of their studies. We have Lusungu, America, and then Blessings. So you have 6 of us from here in Malawi. As we begin our presentation, I would like to invite Gomem Kandavide to do the presentation. And at a certain point, we will give a chance to students to present something from their experience as students of UNILIA, and then possibly give a short time to Reverend Chirambo, him with experience as the alumni, and what he has benefited from UNILIA, and what he thinks would be of help to UNILIA from his studies. Then I will finalize making conclusion of what has been presented.
So we are looking at the history of Livingstonia, the establishment in 1875 when the missionaries came. Robert Laws came to establish the mission station at Mumbwe, and this overlooks the plateau, Lake Malawi. And these are the buildings that were built during that time. And during his 52 years, the Overton Institute was considered to be the greatest achievement in Central Africa. So you can see that these facilities are still serving the communities today. The schools, the hospitals, and some of our staff are actually in those houses. There was a post office, and then electricity too, and water were running from that point in time. Most people were coming from various countries within East and Central Africa to study at Livingstonia. Dr. Robert Laws with Heatherwick, one of the other missionaries that was also coming to Nyasaland, but working with other synods. This is a stone house, and as you can see, it's still standing today, all built of stone. Today we use it at times for students' residence. The other part is used as a museum. In 2005, there was a celebration, and you will note that this was 100 years of Gorodi Road, first pipe water and electric power. So you see the rich history that Livingstonia has. But getting up to Livingstonia, for those that have been there, they know how it is challenging to traverse to get to Livingstonia. This just gives you a picture. It's a nightmare, you know, when you come from this main road, and then you have to start thinking of going up and try to negotiate all these challenges. This gives you a picture of some of the challenges that you can face during the rainy season. You can imagine, even for a vehicle like a four-wheel drive, there was one time when there was a landslide, so there was a lot of mud, stone, but we're grateful that we managed to get through. This is the new road being worked on in Njakwa, Livingstonia. That's the one that is being worked on to be tarmacked. A lot of paving in terms of the earthworks has been done, and a portion from Livingstonia to some part, they are now beginning to have some tar put in place. It was supposed to have been finished within 3 years from 2015, but that has not been possible. Dr. Laws really felt education was important for Malawians to develop self-sufficiency, but one of the key areas was also moral and ethical values. And therefore, higher education from 1895, which consisted of teacher and ministerial preparation classes, and then 1920 onwards, when the idea of the university was muted to train leaders of the future. But this did not continue after Dr. Laws left in 1927. Others did not feel it was a priority. A commission was set to establish the University of Livingstonia. You may see quite a number of people, some of those that you may be familiar with, who helped to bring about the university. Reverend Matia Nkoma, who was General Secretary then, challenged Henry Kirk, and who was then retiring from his work as president of a college in Washington State, to come and pioneer the establishment of the institution. So Kirk also came with his wife, Jane Sheldon, who also had background in higher education, institutional relations. So she helped in establishing the university as a relations officer. But before the university opened as University of Livingstonia, the Synod had already been operating a technical college, College of Nursing, College of Commerce, and College of Theology. So the idea was to bring these as constituent colleges. This also gives you a picture at the time that Kirk was around, and Reverend Matia Nkoma and others who also helped to bring this to bear. That's Dr. Kirk and Jenny. These are some of the people who were part of the team that started helping him with the work. And these were principals of the various colleges that have just been mentioned above. So it was the Vice Chancellor, the University Librarian, and University Registrar, and the college principals. The governance system has trustees who are leaders of the Synod, and it is the trustees who then would work to appoint a council. But the Synod resolved that the university should have moderators as the chancellors. But the late, very Reverend Dr. Silas Nyirenda was the first chancellor. Then after that, Reverend John Gondwe, and now we have Reverend Douglas Chipofya. This was one of the council meetings of the university with the trustees and the management team. And maybe just to highlight that the University Council on it has people who are very reputable. We have a Supreme Court judge who chairs the Appointments and Disciplinary Committee. We also have two certified accountants who are overseeing our audit and finance committee. And then we have the college principals who are also there. We also have one of the council who is running his own business as an attorney. So all this helped us a lot to have our governance system functional. We also have others represented from public universities who are on this council. These have been our vice chancellors after Henry Kirk left, and to date, the Very Reverend Dr. Timothy Nyasulu is our vice chancellor. The College of Theology was running from 2003 to 2014 before it was incorporated into the university. So beginning 2014, that's when it became under as a faculty of theology in the university. So we have 3 campuses. This is Lowes campus, where the genesis of the institution was, started as a college of education. And Ken did say about the first graduation in 2007, 35 students graduated, but the enrollment was 45 when they started. And UNILIA inherited facilities of a secondary school. And these are some of the challenges that we face in terms of infrastructure, to have purpose-built infrastructure for the university. So at Lowes campus, we have a Faculty of Applied Sciences, and those are the courses that are offered, and Faculty of Education, also offering those degrees. Ekwendeni campus, there's the Faculty of Social Sciences and the Faculty of Theology. This is one of the assistance that we received through the foundation, a 52-bed female hostel at Ekwendeni. This did and is still helping a lot for some of the students, because a lot of students are not on campus. Kaningina campus, which is the 3rd campus, actually 4th with Lusangazi, which was secured. Now Lusangazi is part of Kaningina campus because of the agriculture side. But you can see, even as the slides were also shown, in 2018, that's what this building was like. So with some of the assistance, even with the resources that we generate locally, we've been able to move to where even the accrediting council was able to come inspect and accredit us. So this will be offering the following courses. There will be Faculty of Business and Communication Studies and Faculty of Agri Business. We're planning to introduce weekend programs on this campus, since it's in the city, and a lot of people in the workplace would like to join in. They talked about the laboratory, which, when the accrediting council came, also felt that it should be used together as a computer laboratory. So because of the space, it was combined. There's a section where there's the computer side, and the other side where it's for the books, and we're still developing it. We talked about Lusangazi. This land is 27.2 hectares, which we'll be developing, not just for agriculture. Plans were also developed where classrooms, houses, and other things would also be developed. Ekwendeni College of Health Sciences. Up to now, they've been offering diplomas, but they are coming under the university, where they will now be offering degrees. To date, the university has graduated 2,512 students. But for the first 8 years, that is running up to 2014. We were just running the education programs. And it's from the 9th cohort, as you notice that the numbers increased because then we introduced applied sciences. And up to now, that has increased our numbers. The 13th graduation, you'll notice that has the highest, 606, and that is because it also includes 231, those that graduated with diplomas from the College of Health Sciences. So we've already started merging for them to come on board as part of the university. So from the 35 graduates in 2007 to date, we've had the graduations alternate, where at times we are at Livingstonia, we've been at Ekwendeni, and in the past 2 years, we've actually had our graduations in Mzuzu City at the stadium. We've had several guests of honor. In 2017, our then president was the guest of honor. There was 1 year when a director of higher education in the Ministry of Education came, and another year when a minister represented the president. So this was the 13th graduation, that's in 2019, which was at the stadium. Our university choir, every year we have a theme song which they sing during graduation. And as you can see, now with the growth of the numbers, we are not able to hold our graduations in some of our places. So the stadium has been very helpful. It has also become like a publicity program because a lot of people are able to come. These are some of the alumni. Some of them were covered there. We have people who are working with finance institutions, others working with education institutions. We're glad that some of them have been retained as faculty at the university. We have one of our first graduates who is a doctor and now in South Africa. But one of the challenges is to retain most of our staff. So I'll pause here before I proceed to the other slides. And at this time, I can now call upon Cromwell to interact with the students. Thank you, Zip.
Good afternoon. My name is Cromwell Musuku. I'm reintroducing myself to the students. I'm a retired child psychiatrist, still living in United States. What I would like to do is to be able to ask a question, and any one of you, Lusungu, Maker, or Blessing, can answer. We go over the questions one by one. I would like to know if you could tell us about the degree you're working on or have received. And Lusungu, you could start if you want to.
My name is Lusungu Bota. I'm pursuing a bachelor's degree in food security and nutrition, and I'm in level 3.
Go ahead.
My name is Blessings.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Blessings.
My name is Blessings Piri, studying Bachelor of Science in Public Health, and I'm a third-year student.
Oh, okay.
My name is Sule. I'm studying Bachelor's in Social Science in Development Studies. I'm in 3rd year.
Now that you have had some experiences there, looking back, why did you choose UNILIA for your further education?
Okay, the first reason is that UNILIA is a well-recognized and registered private institution here in Malawi, which is well known to produce well-trained graduates. Apart from that, it is the only private investor that operating the diverse layering programs, which are not even taught in other private institutions. And being a Christian institution, UNILIA is always best that it sticks to the ethical values and good morals, which helps students to act in a good human way outside the campus when they've graduated. In other way, a graduate from UNILIA cannot be compared to these other universities because you are taught about the good morals and ethical values of which we stick to. As such, that's why we joined the UNILIA.
I joined.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I joined UNILIA because it's one of the best private institution in the country, as my friend has already said. And not only we're not getting the paper, but we're also taught good morals, as the institution is a Christian institution.
I'll go on to the next question, which is how are you funding your education? Do you receive scholarships or family help? Does the Malawi government help out with the tuition? Go ahead, anyone.
As for me, I'm being sponsored by the University of Livingstonia Foundation, though the sponsorship is a partial sponsorship. They only sponsor me for tuition fees.
Any
As for
other
me, I also
comments?
have this
Yeah, go ahead.
sponsorship, which is not complete, which is not also complete, but for the meals and for other upkeeping fee, I need to work during the holidays, do some piecework so that I can fund myself to complete my studies.
Myself, I was once sponsored by a scholarship, then it stopped. On government loan, which doesn't pay full of the fees. The other half of the fees I'm paid by my sister and my mom.
Do you have any suggestions for the university in order to best help students achieve their educational goals? Some of the things that you may have thought about that could improve, the university's goals and your goals, how they can best be met.
I think it would be better if the university could be providing full sponsorship because one cannot attend classes while he or she is hungry. So he has to find food and other basic needs to attend the classes. And even the performance of a student is affected by that. And hence, the university should emphasize or should try to provide full sponsorship rather than partial sponsorship to students.
Any comment? Go ahead.
Yeah, apart from full complete, but it has to increase the number of the sponsorship to be awarded. Here in Malawi, our living standard, they don't usually meet the amount of fees that is required to pay. As such, if the number of sponsorship can be increased, I hope it will help a lot of students to complete their studies. And apart from that, the attachment duration that we're given is too short. Therefore, if the university can increase the duration for some other programs like public health, which will help students to do most of their practical things, yes, it will help them to have the required knowledge. And the university doesn't have enough infrastructure like hostels at Los Campus for boys and girls. So if they can construct other infrastructure, I hope it will help students to have good space for accommodation. And apart from that, we need more scholarships outside the country for master's degree. They should be free. This will help students to work very hard so that they can have a distinction or a credit. Hence, they'll be enrolled outside. So if they can be a free scholarship outside the country for further studies, I hope it also help.
Sungu, any comments?
Yeah, the institution should continue supporting students who cannot support themselves, and the duration of attachment. I agree with my friend. The time should increase.
Apart from the experiences at UNILIA, what's been your experience beyond classes and study? What other experiences have you been exposed to apart from classroom work and the study?
Like for myself, beyond classes, I've managed to formulate 3 clubs. The first club I deal with the antenatal mothers. The other club I deal with the youths. That's about youth-led behavior services. And then the other program I deal with the elderly people. So I have 3 clubs which I'm sharing the knowledge that I'm obtaining from school currently.
As for me, from the knowledge I've gained from the institution, I'm able to encourage my fellow young ladies in my community that they should not quit school, but they have to continue school, encouraging them that they have to work hard in their academics.
As a female student in my community, I'm able to encourage my fellow youth so that they can work hard and attend the university like I have.
With that in mind, what are your plans for the future in terms of employment or further education?
My plan is that after I graduate, I should apply for scholarships for further studies in outside countries or anywhere to be found. If that will fail, then I'll opt for work or some small scale businesses to help myself financially and to cater for my needs.
As for myself, I'm working toward to have a distinction degree. Hence, I want to go for a master's degree. And for the clubs that I've formulated after graduating, I want to continue what I'm doing, like the antenatal, with dealing with the youths and the elder people once after graduating.
As for me, I want to go for masters.
Okay. This will be the last question. What do you think the role of the foundation should be playing, and how can they help?
The foundation is like an umbrella to us students. Apart from sponsorship only, the ideas that they do generate, they help the student to go on. That's about infrastructure and the introduction of other programs. So if they can provide much scholarship, they have to focus much on the development of the university. That's about other new programs, infrastructure, and employment of lecturers who should be there for permanent, not adjunct lectures. How that will help.
Any comments, Lusungu or Maker? How the foundation can be of help? What role they should be playing?
I think they should continue sponsoring students, and the sponsorship should be full sponsorship rather than partial scholarship. And the number of students should be increased since a large population of youth have not attended the university just because of the higher fees and they are unable to pay the fees.
I agree with my friend that they should continue sponsoring students, and as well they should add on providing some things like laptops, because some students don't have laptops for them to use during the assignment, and to keep some school staffs it's hard for them without laptops. at university?
Those are the questions. I really appreciate your participation, Lusungu, Maker, and Blessing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll play a song. This song is in remembrance of my dad. And 2 days ago, we're celebrating his birthday. So I just feel obliged to share during our birthdays, or even during his birthday, or the whole family would always have a time of singing. So this is one of his compositions. Nakupoka wanangwa, mali vipyo na kufa, majeri ya kuzura, vitanda vikugona, icho chikawa mumba. Nakupoka wanangwa, mali vipyo na kufa, madindi ya kuzura, vitanda vikugona, icho chikawa mumba. Akakakikirais, hakutitifatuike, chifuka wakati free, erotiliwana. Akakakikirais, hakutitifatuike, chifuka wakati free, erotiliwana. Kunkatawe, kumsusuwe, kuruhiwe, na kukaronga, kusombawe, kulundiwe, kumlanjiwe, vitanda vikagona. Kunkatawe, kumsusuwe, kuruhiwe, na kukaronga, kusombawe, kulundiwe, kulanjiwe, vitanda vikagona. Kulije mwana mchoko, kulije mwana kazi, kulije mcheguru, icho chikawa mumba. Nakumbuka wanakwa, kulije mwana mchoko, kulije mwana kazi, kulije mcheguru, icho chikawa mumba. Akakakikirais, hakutitifatuike, chifuka wakati free, erotiliwana. Akakakikirais, hakutitifatuike, chifuka wakati free, erotiliwana. Kunkatawe, kumsusuwe, kuruhiwe, na kukaronga, kusombawe, kulindiwe, kumlanjiwe, vitanda vikagona. Kunkatawe, kumsusuwe, kuruhiwe, na kukaronga,
Karonga kusumba mwe, kulimi mwe, mulanji mwe, kitanda vikagona.
Listen more often to things meant to be. Listen more often to things meant to be. Is the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard? Is the ancestors' breath in the voice of the water? Those who have died have never, never left. The dead are not under the earth. They are in the rustling trees. They are in the groaning woods. They are in the crying grass. They are in the rolling rocks. The dead are not under the earth. So listen more often to things meant to be. Listen more often to things meant to be. Is the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard? Is the ancestors' breath in the voice of the water? Those who have died have never, never left. The dead have all had and living. They are in the woman's breast. They are in the wailing child. They are with us in the home. They are with us in the crowd. The dead have all had and living. So listen more often to things meant to be. Listen more often to things meant to be. To the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. To the ancestors' breath in the voice of the water. Every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun, let us march on till victory who has light, 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 let us into the light. Keep us forever in the path we pray. Blessed our feet, straight from the places of God where we met thee. Blessed our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadow beneath thy hand, may we forever stand. True to our God, true to our native land. One by one,
How are you, Patricia?
I'm fine. It's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. So, I know you've been with UNILIA. You've been connected with UNILIA since 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that you're on this function to share with us your experiences. You're originally from Memphis, right?
That's right.
I'm in Atlanta, so you're my neighbor up here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've lived in St. Louis, Chicago, New York, Salt Lake City, Bainbridge Island, and Washington, Washington, before retiring to Santa Fe with your husband of 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive. Most of your career has been spent working in education and as elementary teacher and principal. And now you're a visiting lecturer at the Lowell's campus and the founder of the UNILIA Women's Fund. That's very impressive. And we appreciate you as a Malawian who's also volunteered at the Lowell's campus.
Mm-hmm.
I salute you. And please share with us what you would like the team to know as we are trying to raise some funds.
Okay.
Your turn. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. It's really nice to get to participate in this fundraiser. I'm usually in Malawi now, and so I never have been able to. So that's one good thing about the pandemic, that I get to see a bunch of people that I've heard about for a long time. And I got to hear Gome sing, which was really nice. So I'm going to tell you about how I got to go to Malawi and give you an idea of what my experience has been there, particularly interested in letting you know about our Women's Fund. So back in 2011, I was ready to start pursuing my retirement dream to teach in Africa. And a friend of mine on Bainbridge Island said, well, you should call my mom, Susie Vanderstu, who's a member of Westminster Presbyterian Church in Chehalis, Washington. So Susie connected me with Jenny and Hank Kirk, and they introduced me to Mary Louise Peterson and Sylvia and Ken Gentili and Glenn Nutter, so that I could learn what it was like to be in Malawi and live there and how I would be able to contribute. So in 2013, I retired at the end of a school year as an elementary school principal. And in September, I headed off for my first visit to Malawi. I committed to spend the September semester, 90 days, teaching educational leadership to the senior education majors on campus. And I'd also signed on to help teaching English at the local primary school. I've returned every year, so it's been 7 years so far, but I'm not there this year because of that pandemic that we're all living through. After a couple of years, I added English grammar to the list of courses I taught and this was for level ones. And then I also moved from the primary school to secondary school, and I have a girls empowerment group at the secondary school. So, and probably you won't be at all surprised to hear that just about everything I do when I'm in Malawi now is not something I did when I first went and knew nothing about the culture and just made one mistake after another. I considered myself really lucky to have gotten to know so many wonderful and patient and kind and generous people while I'm there. And it's just makes me really sad not to be there right now. So when I first came, one of my hardest challenges was figuring out how to handle all the requests I received to help students with their fees. And I quickly realized I just didn't have deep enough pockets to help everybody that needed help. Plus, I didn't know who was most needy, and I didn't know who was more or less deserving of the help. One thing I did know was that there was never one female, not even one, who asked for help. It was always male students. And I wasn't sure why that was the case. So let me start my slideshow, fingers crossed. So this is Dr. Joyce Malinga, who was our wonderful dean of the Faculty of Education back when I started. And so you'll remember before I had my tech problem that my question was, why was it there were no females asking for help? So I met with her and said, do the females all have families to help them? Is it only the guys who have trouble having enough money? Are the females shy? And obviously, I was very naive. And she explained to me that girls and women were expected not to assert themselves. And certainly, their mothers never would have wanted to ask anyone to help them. That's changing now. Every year, I see more and more girls and young women who speak up about all sorts of issues in Malawi. And males, as well as the females, are learning that women need power if their country is to thrive. But back in 2013, I was lucky that Joyce was there to teach me about Malawi. I'm also lucky to have two wonderful sisters and two terrific cousins and a former principal colleague who all said, what can we do to help students in Malawi? So that's why we started the UNILIA Women's Fund. Fundraising is not something I'm comfortable with, but it's great to know that we've raised over $40,000 and given scholarships to 43 women. Most of our contributions have come from my family and friends and their friends and some of the great people I've gotten to know through being connected with Malawi. Some of them I know are listening right now. We receive contributions ranging from $25 to the $2,000 that recently came in to celebrate Susie Vanderstoot's 95th birthday. Our scholarships have ranged from a low of just $300 up to $3,000. Originally, the registrar would notify Dean Malinga about which women, who were all senior education majors at first, were in need of support, and she and I would meet and decide who should receive the grants. But as the donations grew and the university offered more programs, we expanded to include junior and senior women across the campus in all the programs. And most important, we turned the decision-making over to others. So this is our first committee that makes the selections for who should receive scholarships. Mafuta Mavuta was the Dean of Education at the time. Ron Sachali was the registrar, and Cindy Encina was the Dean of the Faculty of Applied Sciences. Here we are on the Conde at the VC's house where I get to stay when I visit. We met to firm up procedures for how we wanted this committee to work, and we celebrated with coffee and homemade scones. So the committee includes the registrar, who has information on the students' situations and fees balances, and the two deans, who know the students' academic records and how committed they are to learning. In September, I notify them how much funding is available, and they spend every penny of it. I ask that they select mostly level 3 and 4 women to receive grants, and they decide how much each recipient should be awarded. I also ask that they not select any woman who receives another scholarship or reduce fees because she's the ward of a staff member. In other words, we focus on women who have little support beyond their families. At the suggestion of Joyce Malinga, we've tried to spread the funds among a larger number rather than concentrating on one or two at a time, hopefully helping more women to avoid needing to delay graduation. If I'd spoken before Lusungu and the other students, they might have a different opinion about how these funds should be allocated, but that's what we've been doing. Usually we are fortunate enough to have more funds contributed during December, so the committee meets again and allocates those funds for the next semester. Sometimes the additional funds go to the current recipients, and often new recipients are added. What I'd like to do now is to show you a cross-section of the women who receive scholarships through the Women's Fund. I'll start off chronologically, but then I've just selected a few whose stories I hope will help round out a picture for you of women across the campus. So this is the first year, the 2013-14 year, and we were able to provide 2 women with about $1,000 each. Here's a glamour shot of them. There's this wonderful farewell dinner that the university hosts for the graduating seniors. And these are Lucy on the left and Gladys on the right. Both are now secondary school teachers. Lucy teaches science in Kasungu, and Gladys teaches mathematics at Nkata Bay. They have a special place in my heart because they were our first students, and I've tried to keep up with both of them. When I contacted Lucy at the beginning of her final semester to say that we would like to help her, she told me that she had just arrived at the university to tell them that she was going to withdraw because she didn't have fees. But between our contribution for tuition and one of the lecturers' willingness to let her board at his house free, that was the late Mr. Hongo, she was able to stay and finish her degree. Here's Lucy again, just a couple of years later when she was teaching near Ekwindeni. Something she told me that day really stayed with me about Lucy and about a lot of people in Malawi. She said that in her first teaching assignment, she was not paid for the first 6 months. And I said, well, how did you manage without any income? She explained that the other teachers had each contributed a small amount for her to have food and that she was given a house to live in. But she said the good news was that when she did get paid, she got a big lump sum that was enough money that she was able to have the dirt floor in her parents' kitchen covered with concrete. And how great it was to be able to do something special for her parents who'd always done so much for her. Lucy is now married to a Malawian who got his business degree in Dubai recently. She teaches at a very well-regarded secondary school right in Kasungu on the main M1 and has a 5-year-old daughter. The second year, we were able to help 4 women. 3 of them are what in Malawi is called mature students. Rachel, in the blue shirt, is now deputy head at multi-career private school in Karanga, and she has occasionally been an adjunct lecturer teaching geography up at Law's campus. Ellen, in the red, first studied for a diploma in math and home ec and taught in secondary schools for 9 years before she came to UNILIA for her final 2 years to get a bachelor's degree in education. She's a single mother. She was raising 4 children between the ages of 3 and 17 while she was on campus. But fortunately, she had a sister who lived in Lilongwe and took care of her kids while she was at the university. Wazy, on the bottom, on the left, teaches at a secondary school in Mzuzu. Her husband is a CCAP minister, and he was away for a couple of years, I think, in Zambia to get another degree while she raised their 4 children. And now she is working on a master's degree in educational leadership at Mzuzu University, which is great. So the fourth one is the young one, Princess. And she's the one whose life has taken a really unusual turn. A couple of years ago, she married Jonathan, a Malawian who works in the South African Embassy in Belgium. So they live in Brussels and have a little toddler. The next year, we were able to help 10 women, and Bester is one of them. Bester is an example of I think a somewhat small group of students who have to stay out of school for a year or more because they don't have enough funds. Bester dropped out for 1 year to live in Blantyre and work in her brother's computer shop and save money. And then she returned for her senior year but she was still struggling to make ends meet. And that's when she was given a Women's Fund scholarship. Whereas most of the seniors, all of her friends, were taking 9 or 10 courses, Bester took 13 to make up for some that she'd missed the previous year. She now teaches secondary school in Kasungu. And this is Miriam. She's somebody I've gotten to know especially well. Miriam started at UNILIA in 2010, but she had to drop out after her 3rd semester because her family wasn't able to come up with her fees. Meanwhile, she and Innocent, a classmate, had fallen in love. When I first came, Miriam was back at home living with her parents and teaching at a primary school. I hadn't met her, but I'd gotten to know Innocent, and he asked if we could help Miriam. So we agreed through the UNILIA Women's Fund to provide a partial scholarship to Miriam so that she could return for the 5 semesters she needed to finish her degree. Here they are when I first met her, when she came up to Livingstonia, and she graduated with credit in 2018, majoring in chemistry, frequently at the top of her class, in which she was the only female with 10 guys. They married the week after graduation and teach at the same secondary school in Chitipa. Their son, Spencer, was born in July. Isn't he adorable? I just would love to meet that little kid. So here's another photo I love too. The graduate here is finest, and graduation is such a joyous occasion. If you haven't been to Malawi, you should definitely try to come around the time when graduation is. It's now held in the Mzuzu Stadium, which is a big complex, and there are so many people. Everybody is dressed well, and everybody is happy. It's a wonderful occasion. I've kept in touch with Finest, this young lady here, who's now teaching at Luwinga, which is a really good government secondary school in Mzuzu. I've always been impressed with her because she was by far the most serious female in her class at UNILIA. Here she is with her parents and her husband and her children at graduation. Her father had paid her fees for the university, but when his job ended, he wasn't able to manage. She's another person who was going to drop out because she didn't have the funding. And Esther Nanyinza, who was the Dean of Education at that time, heard that Finest wasn't returning to school. So she advocated for the Women's Fund to step in. It was a smart move. This is Angeline. She's maybe our oldest recipient, I think. I bumped into her again at last year's graduation, and she asked me to pass along her gratitude to this foundation for her scholarship and talked about how much it had helped her. She was one of the first public health students that we were able to help. And Wabi is another public health student who told me that her father inspired her because he is or was project manager for a government project involving immunizations. I've been wondering how that program's doing because I keep reading about how hard it is for countries to maintain routine vaccinations at the same time they address COVID-19. And speaking of 19, that is how old Mavi was as a senior. So she was 16 when she started at the university. She told me that there are a bunch of students as young as she is on campus. Parents are supposed to keep their kiddos at home until they're 5 for first grade, but many of them send them when they're just 4 years old. Here's Tawange. Doesn't she look happy? See, that's a graduation scene. I got to know her because she grew up as the neighbor to Dinah Chigmunimbe, who's a Malawian woman who I know who lives here in Santa Fe. Twange taught me a lot about food security and nutrition and the kinds of jobs that leads to. She's done some contract work since graduating, some community surveying for a research project about food security issues. And she's worked at a hospital in the under 5 clinic, consulting with mothers on healthy foods for their children. And here's Mary with her husband. Their wedding was 1 week before her graduation. Mary's one of the few women who studied computer technology at UNILIA. She had a clear idea for a business startup while she was in school, and now she's involved in a Mizzou University entrepreneurial program. It started at the beginning of March, and then it closed down, but now it's started back up again. This is just a little part of her application. Quote, after getting my bachelor's degree in computer engineering, my major step is to start my own business, looking at how tough it is to get a job these days due to the high unemployment rate in our country. Working for oneself is very rewarding and profitable, and I do believe that starting my own business will make me to become one of the employers and contribute to reducing the high unemployment rate by employing other youth. Excuse me. Mary's idea of starting a business to employ other Malawians is a dream that many university students share. They really take seriously their responsibility to help others in their country once they've been helped to get a degree. I hear that again and again from students. So I'm almost finished. This is Doricus. She was 23 in this photo. Doesn't she look younger, though? She was a senior environmental management student. She was raised by a widowed mom in a family with 6 children. And here's what she wrote in her acceptance letter. Quote, honestly, school fees have been an issue since my first year up to date. This has been affecting my performance since I could register for school late and sometimes even not having that chance to register. Therefore, to catch up with my friends has been very difficult. I believe there are others who may be in the same shoes, but you chose me. Thank you very much for your support. And finally, this is Mary. I ask each of our recipients to write a letter of acceptance in which they tell us something about themselves and what their hopes for after their graduation. If I'm in Malawi, I invite them over to have tea in the Conde and take their photo. I haven't gotten to meet Mary. She just received her grant in March. But I think her letter is just one of the best, and I hope you'll bear with me while I read it. Quote, I was raised by a single parent, my mother. My father died in 2011. We rely on small-scale farming as the main source of income. When I got admitted to study here at Livingstonia University, my mother's earnings from agriculture weren't enough to cater for my tuition and upkeep expenses. Hence, well-wishers from the church Combe CCAP prayer house contributed little amount they could manage so that I should not miss this golden opportunity. The contribution from the church still is not meeting the expenses needed here. Hence, this has affected me in such a way that I get registered at late period, which I end up removing the same money contributed to pay late registration fee. I grew up in a rural area where most people do not see the importance of education, so they care little about sending their children to school. In my community, youth lack motivation from people who've made it in life. Most children drop out of school at primary level because they don't see the importance of education, since they have seen some youths who were brave enough to reach secondary and have a good certificate that they can get enrolled in universities to pursue their choice of program, but are just staying at home with nothing to do or due to a lack of financial support to continue their education. This puts youth, mainly girls, to get married at an early age. I myself was struggling to find financial support to get in university. It took the grace of God for the church to intervene. I have a dream of changing my community's attitude toward education. I didn't have motivation from anyone except my eagerness to continue education. So I want to educate both parents and children in my community to take school seriously. Parents should be eager to send their children to school, and children should have interest to move on with school and fulfill their future dreams. Being here at UNILIA studying public health has been a great journey so far. Public health is a complex program which teaches about all matters that concern people's lives. Malawi, as it is still in the developing stage, we need to focus on preventive medicine, as this way we will manage to prevent diseases at their early stage. This will reduce cases of infections and pressure in medical facilities. Another focus should be on sanitation. My village in particular, people struggle to access safe water as they use water from the river for domestic purposes. This water mostly has waterborne disease-causing germs. I have more interest in preventive medicine, and after pursuing a degree here, I want to study further in epidemiology, but I can understand much on how preventive medicine can be achieved properly. As I will change my community, I believe that Malawi will change too. I hope you've been able to get a sense of the wonderful women who attend UNILIA. If you'd like to make a contribution that's earmarked to the Women's Fund, please indicate in one of these two ways. If you send a check, then just write Women's Fund on the memo line. And if you contribute online, you'll need to let either Donna, Chirwa, or myself know that your contribution should be credited to the Women's Fund. Thanks so much for listening. Goodbye.
Patricia, you are my hero or heroine, using the right language. Thank you for that journey and sharing. At this stage in time, we are a little bit moving faster than the schedule. Is Taylor ready now? Ah, all right. Let me welcome you, Taylor. I know you speak very good Chichewa and Tumbuka, right? Haven't been in Malawi for such a long time. Working under the World Presbyterian Mission. You've been in UNILIA at the. You are not at Laws. You are in
Ekwendeni.
In Ekwendeni, yes.
Yes.
So I remember having come there when the buildings were still being constructed. How has been, how has been your time at that location? I know that's what you will share with us.
Yes.
And you've been in that place since 2012. And you teach systematic theology, church history, Greek. And you live in Mzuzu with your wife, Rochelle, and daughter, Mpatso. Our first daughter is Mpatso. She is now 40. But how old is your Mpatso?
Slightly less. My Mpatso is 6 years old now.
6 years old now. No, I'm grateful that you're on this program, and take it from me. Please continue.
Thank you for that introduction. I appreciate that, and I very much am I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be with you all today, this morning or this evening, wherever you may be. It's wonderful to be able to share a bit about my experiences and a bit more specifically about the Faculty of Theology and some of what we've been able to see from Ekwendeni side. It is unfortunate, though. We had hoped to perhaps have one of my students or a graduate join with me. Due to technology, that's not going to work so well, but you are going to be able to hear from a video from one of our recent graduates. Also, I'd just like to say that I'm very thankful that I'm able to be with you. We have many other more qualified and more prestigious members of the Faculty of Theology, our dean and members of the Ekwendeni campus staff. But it works out well, I guess, for me to be with you. So I am very grateful for that opportunity. So with that, I'd like to explain first just a bit about what we're sharing, about our thoughts here. And we will be able to hear from one of our former students in the Faculty of Theology, Reverend Lassen Kamanga, here in just a little bit, and it is wonderful to be with you. My co-presenter, Reverend Kamanga, he is a graduate of the Faculty of Theology some 2 years ago, and also his wife attended University of Livingstonia as well, graduating from the Faculty of Social Science at the same time, and they just welcomed one of the newest future students at the University of Livingstonia just about 5 weeks ago. Their first child was born. So the class of 2041 or so, we're building that up even as we speak. I'd like to just very quickly give a little bit of a background of myself and explanation of who I am. As you heard in the introduction, I am working at the University Faculty of Theology. My funding comes from the Presbyterian Church USA, Presbyterian World Mission, which does fund my position there in Ekwendeni. So I wear a few different hats at different times. Mostly, though, really 99% of my work is teaching in Ekwendeni, so it's a wonderful environment. I'm very grateful to be there with our students. The Faculty of Theology itself, of course, I think everyone here is aware of the university and some of its history, but at the Faculty of Theology, we're very proud of the fact that the Presbyterian Church in Malawi was really the very first organization or body to be working towards education and especially towards college or university level education. So we very proudly trace our heritage back to the first graduates, which graduated up in Livingstonia in 1914 as ordained ministers. And we consider those to be the first fruits and the forefathers of the current work at the university. After independence, emphasis was put more on a national united institution, and so emphasis went down towards Zomba Theological College and Chancellor College. But in 2004, as the Synod of Livingstonia was really struggling to get sufficient numbers of students to be able to attend there, the faculty, what would become the Faculty of Theology, was reestablished in Ekwendeni in 2004. Since then, we've been continuing to train individuals. Primarily, we train people that will work as ministers within the Synod of Livingstonia. However, that's not all that we do, and so we shouldn't think that that is the only purpose of the Faculty of Theology. We also have students that are seeking to be ordained or sometimes already ordained in other church organizations. So we have Anglican, and we have independent church ministers or priests as well. And then also we have individuals who are not seeking ordained ministry, but that are representing different vocations. School teachers, workers in non-governmental organizations and development work. We have had a number of individuals who are already working in the criminal justice system, working in courts, working as police, working as border agents. And I think we can all understand that having individuals in different governmental and private positions, such as police, if we have a good theology and a good understanding of the worth and the respect that all people are due, that will help build up society no matter what their vocation may be. So most of those students, but not all, most of those who are serving in other vocations are going to be working through their degree, not in our residential program, but in our open and distance learning program, or ODL. We are the smallest faculty with about 40 students studying full-time and living on residence for 4 years for a bachelor's degree. But we also have, it varies quite a bit year to year, but approximately 300 students that are studying in our open and distance learning program. It takes them 5 years to earn a bachelor's degree, and they come and they work intensively for 2 weeks, 4 different times over a year. So each semester, twice, coming for, well, 2 to 4 weeks, I should say. Typically it's 2 weeks at the beginning, 4 weeks at the end. And so they work through on a part-time basis of and earn a bachelor's degree, just like the residential students would. Some updates on how things are adjusting here. Of course, at the end of March, the government of Malawi ordered the shutdown of all universities, and we complied with that. Also at March, because I do technically work for the Presbyterian Church in the US, and they required all staff to come back to the US. So currently I am a bit marooned here in Louisville, Kentucky. But since then, we've been working very tirelessly to try and get things started up again. Challenges, as you may know, technology is a problem. A survey of our students in the Faculty of Theology, we found that 10% now do have access to a computer in some ways, borrowing, using someone else's, but about 10% have access to a computer, and about 50% have pretty good internet access, but this is still leaving a large group that is not able to, a large group of students that is not able to access the technology this way. So there's a great deal of inequality that's there, and unfortunately, as we are trying to deal with things, that's perhaps only growing. At the same time, as many of you know, there was a fire that destroyed a building in Equindenny campus back in 2014, I believe it was. 2016, I believe it was, rather. Destroyed the library and computer lab. While we have temporary facilities up and running, we are still prioritizing being able to rebuild a computer lab as well. So some of the growth and the accomplishments that we have seen, as I have mentioned, theology was the first faculty to be able to offer our open and distance learning program, and other faculties are hopefully going to be joining with that as well. Also, I must mention that the Faculty of Theology was able to start up a master's program as well, the first at the university, and we do have hopes to continue to develop that and offer even a doctorate and continue to recruit more master's students. So as we hear some of the students saying they hope to study abroad, well, we hope that they don't leave Malawi, but continue their studies in Malawi and consider University of Livingstonia for that master's degree. Currently also, the Faculty of Theology has always been one of the highest accredited, on accreditation, Faculty of Theology was also the first program to be accredited at the University of Livingstonia. And our staff has always been some of the most qualified. We've had a number of doctorates on staff. All of our staff have master's degrees, which is not always the case at universities in Malawi, but we're very proud that everyone has a master's degree and a good number are working on doctorates as well. At this point, I do thank you for your patience. I'm going to turn you over to watch this video of Reverend Kamanga here in just a moment. You can see him and his wife and the family there. And it's just a privilege to be with you. So thank you for this. I will continue to remain with you as we go from here. But now I would like to ask us if we can watch that video of Reverend Kamanga, please.
Hello, my name is Lasson Otna Kamanga. I'm from Malawi and I'm a graduate of the University of Livingstonia under the Faculty of Theology. I graduated in 2018 and I was helped through UNILIA scholarship. It was in 2015 when I was in my second year, when I was about to drop out due to lack of school fees. And I went home and stayed at home for 2 weeks. And it was after the 2 weeks that I was recalled by the university, telling me that they have found a scholarship for me so that I can continue with my education at the university. So after going back, that's when I finished my education. And this tertiary education has helped me a lot in my ministry. I'm currently serving the Lord under the CCAP Synod of Livingstonia at Chikwina congregation, one of the congregations within the Synod. And where I am, I'm probably the only minister who has gone through theological training. And this being the case, I'm involved in many activities, developmental issues, and other insights that the people might need. A lot of people do come at my congregation, not as members of my congregation, but just people who come for assistance in as far as theological interpretation is concerned. So I assist a lot of people. It is indeed challenging because the area is big and many people need sound doctrine. This theological training helped me a lot so that I can be able to teach the sound doctrine that is needed. But the problem is that here in Malawi, school fees is very expensive and very few people can afford. And so if no scholarship is found, that means many people will not be able to undergo training and teach the desired things that they are supposed to teach. And so it is my plea that I really desire to see more people being trained so that most of the areas in this country can receive the sound doctrine that is ideal for their spiritual health. The training which I underwent at University of Livingstonia has equipped me to have a holistic approach to ministry, that is to deal better with the lives of people spiritually and physically. And it is our sincere prayer that many well-wishers should come up and come to the rescue of the faculty so that it should be able to achieve its desired goals. And I think this is what I can say about my journey at University of Livingstonia, and indeed have reached this far because of the scholarship which I received. Thank you very much.
Well, As we all know, that scholarships absolutely are necessary for our students to be able to attend all of the different programs at the university. The impact of these students as they graduate, I think, though, sometimes we underestimate. Now, about a third of all ministers in the Senate of Livingstonia are graduates of the University of Livingstonia. We heard the VC talk about the number of different graduates from the university and all of the different positions they're fulfilling across the nation, and the different work that they're doing is it's really probably hard for us to take and understand all of that. So we want to thank you for supporting students like Lassen in the past. We want to make sure that we're thinking about the university and the different faculties as they're continuing to grow and develop new programs, and just ask that you would continue to support the foundation and the development of infrastructure and also students' support as well. So we thank you for this opportunity and ask that we just keep praying and supporting one another and the great University of Livingstonia. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Taylor. Nice to hear your story and the story of the Reverend. Life is a journey, and it was nice to hear the journey of one of your students now qualified to pastor. All right. At this stage in time, we have to have some music. But before that, I just wanted to mention that don't forget the target of this fundraiser is 10,000. We're around 4,000. And let's keep working to make sure that we meet our target and even go beyond.
Freedom is freedom, freedom is freedom, freedom is coming, oh yes, I know. Freedom is freedom, freedom is freedom, freedom is coming, oh yes, I know. Oh yes, I know, I know, oh yes, 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 I know. Oh yes, I know, yes, I know. Justice is coming, justice is coming, justice is coming, oh yes, I know. Justice is coming, justice is coming, justice is coming, oh yes, I know. Oh yes, I know, oh yes, I know, oh yes, I know, oh yes, I know. Oh yes, I know, yes, I know. Our voice is rising, our voice is rising, our voice is rising, oh yes, I know. Our voice is rising, our voice is rising, our voice is rising, oh yes, I know. Oh yes, I know, I know, oh yes, I know, oh yes, I know, oh yes, I know. Oh yes, I know, oh yes, I know, oh yes, I know, yes, I know. One day when the glory comes, it'll be ours, it'll be ours. Oh, one day when the war is won, we will be sure, we will be sure. Oh, glory. Oh, pa-da-da. Oh,
Hands to the heavens, no man, no weapon formed against, yes, glory is destined. Every day women and men become legends. Sins that go against our skin become lessons. The movement is a rhythm to us. Freedom is like religion to us. Justice is juxtaposition in us. Justice for all just ain't specific enough. One son died, the spirit is revisiting us. True and living in us. Resistance is us. That's why Rosa sat on the bus. That's why we walk through Ferguson with our hands up. When it go down, a woman and man up. They say stay down, yeah, we rise up. Shots we on the ground, the caravan up. King pointed to the mountaintop and we ran up. One day, when the war comes, it'll be ours, it'll be ours. So one day, when the war is won, we will be sure, we will be sure, we will be sure. Oh, glory. Selma's now for every man, woman, and child. Even Jesus got his crown in front of a crowd. They march with the torch, we gon' run with it now. Never look back, we done gone hundreds of miles. The biggest weapon is to stay peaceful. We sing, our music is the cuts that we bleed through. Selma in a dream, we had an epiphany. Now we right the wrongs in history. No one can win this war individually. It takes the wisdom of the elders and young people's energy. Welcome to the story we call victory. The coming of the Lord, my eyes have seen the glory.
Well, the war is not over, victory isn't won, but we fight on till the finish, and when it's all done, we'll cry glory, oh glory. When the war is won, when it's all said and done, we'll cry glory, oh glory, oh glory, oh glory.
All right, that's beautiful. Gome, are you now ready with the students?
This is just giving an idea of the ability, students' ability to pay tuition. And as you notice, like closed campus, there's only about 38% who are able to pay in full. And some of those are also on government sponsorship, and that complements them. Others are supported through the foundation and others. But you notice that there are many others. So overall, we are looking at close to 60% of those who are not able to pay. And you notice other like 5% only paid 5%, and that's 201 students, which represents 12.2%. At Ekwendeni, it's about a similar situation. You still have a lot of students who are not able to pay their tuition or fees. Overall, as the whole institution, out of the 2,200 students, including an extra 4,000 maybe through the open distance learning, only 998. So you have close to 1,500 students who are not able to pay in full. The other challenge we have is when you compare with public universities, you'll notice that the fees that students pay, although now maybe it has increased some, but still the government is able to help public institutions with subventions. So I find that a lot of the resources that public universities have to run are already given by the government, which is not the case with us. Much of it will still come from the fees that students pay. Students who are receiving government loans, at Ekwendeni, you have 72 male and 74 female, but those are only receiving 50% of their tuition. And at Low's campus, 140 male and 109 female, also receiving 50%.
These are statistics for the various courses and student. University of Livingstonia, Ekwendeni campus, students sponsored through the foundation. You have 23 male and 8 female students. At Law's campus, UNILIA Foundation supports 34 students. There are other foundations which are supporting students. Peachtree supports 29 students. All those come from Chitipa because that is where they are working. So they have committed themselves that they will sponsor, and they sponsor them with full scholarships. And you have other local NGOs who are also sponsoring their students in full. One interesting one is the Jesuit Refugee Services. They're helping students who come in from the DRC and the Lake region in the camps, those who want to continue with higher education. You have on-campus students and off. This just gives you a picture to see numbers of those that can stay on campus because of the infrastructure. And you notice that most students are off campus because there's not enough space there. In terms of sustainability, obviously, University of Livingstonia is reliable. We've not missed any cohort to graduate on time. So that's why a lot of students will come. Secondly, most of our faculty members or staff and other administrative staff, it's very much a sacrificial work. They cannot compare with other institutions, especially public universities pay quite highly. And we are very grateful for those that are able to stay on. Volunteerism, we have a lot of people coming in from the US. We are very grateful. People like Patricia Edman, others who have also come in to help teach various times. All those help, and obviously the partnerships. This is what is really sustaining us. I think without that, we would have been struggling. You notice that the foundation, since inception, when the foundation was in place, close to maybe $950,000 has come into UNILIA. In 2013, when we had the celebration, a lot of money was raised for the campaign, and that's why that's that high. But you see the range, much of those resources actually go to student sponsorship. Part of it, that has helped us with some of our infrastructure development. This was also shared, and we are very grateful to all these partners that have come in at one time or another to help. These are just some that we could put here for presentation. Locally, we have these, and internationally, helping us with various sponsorship. Areas of equipment, Gentili helps us a lot with that, and that's why we are accredited in terms of sciences, and we are the only private institution offering sciences. We have had others who have helped us with staff houses, and that's very critical, and that's why at times we are not able to accommodate staff because we do not have enough place. We're still waiting for the government to assist us with a 100 beds female hostel, and we are also looking at other organizations which can help with public-private partnerships. This is what we have to compete with. This is the Malawi University of Science and Technology. And the government, through its bilateral relations or multilateral, the Chinese came in and they built this structure. So you can imagine that we would have to compete with a lot of public institutions where the government pumps in a lot of money for infrastructure, and we have to generate from the fees and other means that we may try as much as we can. And from here, I'll just have the Vice Chancellor to close off, to share some of the needs that we have and challenges that we have. But before that, he has some remarks, and then he will present what are some of our critical needs.
Thank you, Zipa, who is facilitating the meeting today. Just to continue on what Gomi has left, I want to say in the first place that the concept of private universities in Malawi from the beginning has not been well received by the government, if I want to say. So much that wherever the private investor is, they are struggling throughout from the beginning up to the end. And you know, from our history up to until 2003, there was no private investor in Malawi. There was only University of Malawi as a public university. So as the private investor are mushrooming, the support that is expected from the government is not there, or would say it's very minimal if it happens. We as the University of Livingstonia, just to remind some of you who have been visiting us, that the infrastructure that we have inherited were previously secondary schools infrastructure. And their standard as a building for a university leaves a lot to be desired. And that's why you heard from students talking about hostels, classrooms, etc., that are in a very poor conditions as a university. And we need to definitely think about building more good infrastructure to fit the university standards. They also mentioned something about fees, which was again repeated by Patricia and then Tyler, showing out some of the students that have been assisted through scholarship. Those are just few that possibly they have met with the Patricia and the Tyler in terms of knowing their problems. But if they were to mention who have approached them with that problem of fees problem, there would be many, many of them. And for us here in Malawi, if there's one thing that actually impinges the education of young men and women, would be school fees. We have so many who are qualified to go for a university. But when it comes to supporting their scholarship, then it becomes very difficult. And this is a very serious challenge that the university faces. We are also looking at the programs that are supposed to be relevant for the generation that we have, and even relevant for the industries where students are supposed to go after finishing. Apart from the program that we have actually shown, we are so much working on the new programs that need to be started. We have masters in theology, which is a postgraduate anyway, but we also want to have very soon start the masters in the sanitation. This is the public health programs. We also intend to create more and more programs so that the university feeds into industries with relevant qualifications. We have recently established a research department, which we have now full-time research director. And Zipa and Ken, when they came last time together with Kenya, they were working together with Mary, who is at that time was acting director of research. Now she's full-time director of research. Research has very recently so much expanded that the government has recognized us as one of the best universities that would lead some of the universities in Malawi in terms of research activities. Just 3 weeks ago, we had National Commission for Science and Technology coming training our staff in the area of research. And we're this week sending 2 interns who will be empowered to lead the research department in the area of administration, as well as the making sure that the REC, that is the Research Ethics Committee, is done well. So as a university, we are expanding so much, and at the new campus that you have been shown through the slides, Kaningina campus, we want to thank the donor who supported us with the library lab and computer lab. That has made a lot of difference within the university, and would be counted as one of the best universities because of the support that comes from the foundation at Lowe's campus, at the Kwendeni campus, as well as here at the new campus where we are now. When you see us, you see us from the new campus, and this is our we call it a studio for the journalism and development program. So we would want to see ourselves to continue in partnership with many, including you, the foundation, and we cannot work on our own without you. And whatever you send us over here, we make sure that it is used in its area that is expected to be used. And the accountability of it is at the top of our mind. And we want to assure the foundation and all the well-wishers over there that would want to see ourselves growing from where we are. And when we count the years that we have existed as UNILIA, we can see if it were without the foundation, wouldn't be where we are now. We are contacting so many local partners within, if they can support us with infrastructure, hostels, as well as classrooms. And some have shown kind of a positive response that they would want to support us, and have just promised, but we're expecting them to come very soon. We have been delayed by the political tension that has just gone from last year up to this year. We have not actually settled. Although now with this new government, we see things that are actually settling. Only that they are still dealing with so many issues that have to do with the corruption, etc. But we hope soon, even the local partners will see working together with us. We have also established partnership with our local investors like Mzuni, Polytechnic, and others, even Seventh-day Adventist University. We're working together in some of the projects within the university. Many things that are supposed to be done, they need financial resources. Whatever we can get from whoever well-wisher, for us, it will make a very big difference in terms of developing the university. Maybe you also need to know that, as I said, that although there are public universities, as they have been shown, but when you count how many students are trained in private universities, the number is bigger than those that are in public universities, which means private universities are playing a bigger role in educating Malawians compared to public universities. Therefore, the support of public universities is so necessary, and we will always appreciate whatever support that comes from the foundation and other donors. Thank you for listening.
All right, thanks, Vice Chancellor Dr. Nyasulu. We appreciate that sharing, and I'm sure that the foundation board members and the donors do appreciate the message that you have conveyed. At this stage in time, I'll do my one needful obligation, just to say our target is for this fundraising is still 10,000. We have 4,170 as of today. So please get the word out there. This is a private university that needs every resource that we can get or they can find. May I take this opportunity and ask our president of the foundation, Mrs. Donna Chirwa, to take the stage, please.
Thank you very much, Zipa. You have done a wonderful job this afternoon, and it's been a bit of a challenging job, and I take full responsibility for it. It's been a wonderful program, and thank you all for taking the time to be with us. My first connection with the University of Livingstonia was when I went to teach accounting classes as short course classes. And then I took over the leadership of the foundation in 2014. So this is our 7th year here in Silver Spring. So the fun of the program is really over. As I said, I'm an accountant, so you may find the next things a bit boring because it'll be a lot of numbers, but I think it's important that you are aware of how we're spending money. So we're going to look very quickly at 2019. In 2019, we raised $108,000, and our expenses were only foundation expenses were only $2,133. So we have no paid staff, so every penny that comes in pretty much goes to the university, except for that 2% that we use for things such as the internet and security and our website and so on. But in 2019, we gave out 87 scholarships worth $57,624. We gave the rehab of the computer lab, as Reverend Yasulu has said, cost $24,000. We donated $20,000 towards an office building, $8,000 towards graduation expenses, $1,200 to another building that houses volunteers when they come. And we helped out with workshop stipends, and people had specified that some of the funding they were sending, they wanted to go directly to the College of Theology, which is what we do. We honor our donors' requests always for how they want the funding, and if we should change it in any way, we would talk with them first. Of course, this year has been a bit difficult, but we still have sent over $20,000 for 25 students, when at the beginning of the year we thought we were going to have a full year of students in class. And we have used some of our unrestricted funds to help the university in things that they need during this difficult time. And they have spent it very well. I've worked with Gomi and Pandawiri for a long time, and I feel very, very comfortable that when we send money there, it is used as it is supposed to be used. And my background, as I said, is accounting, so I'm keeping track of every single penny. But you can all be a part of this journey. And of course, we appreciate funding. And if you see at the bottom of your screen, there is a way that you can donate online. and also it gives the address of a place where you can send checks. Also, if you are a person who goes onto Amazon, you can go to Amazon Smile. And if you put the University of Livingstonia Foundation in as the organization you want to contribute to, a portion of what you purchase will be given to us, and it's no additional expense to you. It's just something that Amazon does. But as you've seen, we have a number of people who go to Malawi and volunteer. We would love to have you do that. I know the university always appreciates people come and speak for or teach just for even a short amount of time. I was there just for 2 weeks, and we were able to cover quite a bit. Of course, if someone can come and stay for a semester, that's even better. There's also we also need you to advocate. Just get out and talk about the university. For those of you who have been on for the presentations that Gome gave earlier with the history of the university and how it came about, I think it's extremely interesting. And people are always wanting to hear those things. And so if you're willing to get out and advocate for the university, we also appreciate that. I'm not a long speaker because there's much more interesting things to come. But I believe that there are few better ways in the world than to make sure that every child and young adult receives the best possible education that they can. I've heard it said that when you educate one student, you empower thousands, and I believe that that is true. And the university is graduating students, as you have seen, in education, theology, computer engineering, food security, public health, social sciences, human rights, peace, and social justice. And just think of the contributions that the students you saw today, Blessings and Milka and Lusungu, will be doing for Malawi. And indeed, you know, this is a contribution to the whole world. And we're very, very grateful to them. I have a favorite poem, and I will read just part of it, but it reminds me of even when we can only do a little or give a little, how much it means. And this was written by Bishop Ken Untener of Saginaw, Michigan, actually. The poem, in part: we cannot do everything, and there is a sense of liberation in realizing this. This enables us to do something, and to do it very well. It may be incomplete, but it's a beginning, a step along the way, an opportunity for the Lord's grace to enter and do the rest. We may never see the end results, but that is the difference between the master builder and the worker. We are the workers. And so I would like to, first of all, I dedicate this whole afternoon to my heart and Khalidwe, my children. And then I would like to introduce the board members. But I want to say a special thank you to Marvin Kaluembe, who has been our tech person today and has worked with us for now a couple of months. And it's been quite a challenge, I think, for him, but he has been so patient, and this would definitely not have gone anywhere near as well as it has if it hadn't been for Marvin. I want to thank Zipa for the wonderful job he did as a master of ceremonies and all the rest. So let me see who is, I'm not sure, I can't see into the waiting rooms. I'm not sure who is here from the board, but I think Ruth, I know, is here. So I'll introduce Ruth Sasser first.
Good afternoon.
There she is.
Ruth Virgo Sasser, and I have had the privilege of being on the board for the last 7 years. I am a retired community college chancellor, and this has been one of the most rewarding experiences I have ever had. Thank you all for your contribution and donations.
Okay, thank you, Ruth. Ruth and her husband, Don, were the first two people that I asked to be on the board, and they've been absolutely wonderful. Don left us this year, but he is with us every single second, and And we dedicate this to him as well. Thank you, Ruth.
My name is Cromwell Musuku, a retired child psychiatrist, and I've been a member of the UNILIA Foundation board for the past 7 years. And just as Ruth said, it's been a wonderful experience to be a part of the board. It is a privilege. Go ahead, man.
Hello, I'm Mary Masuku, a board member of the foundation for 7 years, and I'm retired as an early childhood education supervisor.
Thank you, Marion Cromwell.
I've been a board member also for
Yes.
7 years. I'm a friend of Donna, is how I got on the board. I lived for 34 years on the continent, the wonderful continent, in Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Botswana. I lived and worked with my husband, Hudson Maswi. We taught school in all those places. We taught A-level, if that means anything to people. We also taught in IB schools. It's been a pleasure to know all the people on the board and to get together now and then and once a year. It's been a real privilege. Thank you.
Well, Mwenji Mtonga and Ellen Kakwende are also on the board. Ellen is from Malawi and Mwenji from Zambia. And so we know they've been with us for part of the day, but they both are still working women, so they may have had to go off somewhere. Anita Ziambo is also on the board. She is not able to be with us today in StreamYard, but she is thinking of us. And finally, I hope I haven't forgotten somebody, is Zipa, who has done a wonderful job seeing today. Zipa, do you want to come back on?
Yeah.
I'm here. Glad to be a board member of the foundation since my volunteering in 2008. I've forgotten how many years. Probably I came on the board by default, but here I am.
We're glad you're here, Zipa. I don't know who else would be the MC if you weren't here. we're very glad you're with us, and plus everything else that you offer. You offer a lot. So, well, I guess that's all of the board members then. And I am very, very happy to work with these folks. It's a joy. Sometimes we may disagree, but we always get back together and we keep the vision of the students and the university in front of us so that we keep going. So thank you very much, board. Thank you. And we'll be having a board meeting probably this week or next, so we'll talk soon.
Let me introduce Reverend Chase, who has served as a mission co-worker for 13 years in Malawi at the Synod of Livingstonia. She was also involved with the University of Livingstonia since its inception at the College of Theology, now the Faculty of Theology, since 2003. And she served as the Dean of Academic Affairs and Lecture, teaching theology, Old Testament, and pastoral psychology. Reverend David Chase, pick it from there.
Thank you very much. Warm greetings to all of you from Eastern Oklahoma Presbytery, where I serve as a retired minister. Eastern Oklahoma Presbytery has been in a partnership with our sisters and brothers in Malawi of the Synod of Livingstonia for 23 years. And that has been an overflowing blessing for all of us. It was through that partnership and through Presbyterian Church USA that I served with the Synod of Livingstonia for 13 years, 10 of those years serving as academic dean and lecturer at what is now known as the Faculty of Theology of the University of Livingstonia. But at its inception in 2003, we were called Livingstonia Theological College and later College of Theology before we became the Faculty of Theology of the University of Livingstonia. I've lost track of how many hundreds of ministers the College of Theology has trained throughout the years, including an increasing number of female ministers now serving in congregations. As the College of Theology gradually came under the umbrella of the University of Livingstonia, we became part of the blessing of the great diversity of programs of the University of Livingstonia, training talented, skilled, ethical leaders for Malawi. During this time of COVID-19, schools have been forced to shut down, including the University of Livingstonia. School fees needed for operation have come to a standstill. Money is needed to pay salaries. Funds are needed for IT, student scholarship, program development, and infrastructure for the future. To this great end, we gather together today to lend a hand, to join with our sisters and brothers of the Synod of Livingstonia, to sustain, develop, to grow this glorious educational institution, the University of Livingstonia, that gives life to the people of Malawi and shares that life with us in the US and with people throughout the world. I hope you will join me today in giving generously to the University of Livingstonia. For as the psalmist says, how good and pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity, in community. For it is there that God bestows the blessing, even life forevermore. Tawanga Chimini.
Thank you, Reverend Chess, for those kind words and message. Having been in Malawi, I can't question any statement that you produce because you have produced it from the ground up. So thank you for that sharing. I'm hoping that all members and those listening have heard you and appreciated your time in Malawi. At this stage in time, thank you. At this stage in time, can we have Charles Montali? Is Charles Montali?
Yes.
Okay. It's your turn. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Nice to see you.
Yeah, please take it from here and share with us your experiences or messaging for this wonderful University of Livingstonia.
Thank you, Zip. Okay, my name is Charles Montali. I'm a retired civil servant, retired from the World Bank, and living in Malawi at the moment, but visiting the United States, as you can see. I was at Livingstonia ages ago. I first went to Livingstonia for primary school 72 years ago as a 13-year-old young kid, and left Livingstonia with a standard 6 certificate then in 1951. And, and then after that went to Blantyre Secondary School, and, then on after that, I went to university. Of course, that time, we didn't have any university in Malawi. So I had to go out to Uganda, in fact, to Makerere to do my my university education. And later on, I did postgraduate work in the United Kingdom at Cambridge, and joined the then colonial civil service. So I was in the civil service for 10 years, and then left the civil service. Well, I was on leave of absence, actually, and joined the World Bank. So I was with the World Bank for nearly 20 years and retired from there. As I say, now I live in Malawi. So you can see my connection with Livingstonia goes way back, in those old days. And of course, it's very exciting for me to see that the institution has now turned into a university. As I said, when I first went there, it was primary school. I was in standard 4, in fact, and left in standard 6. And Livingstonia, not just the university, but the whole institution has trained a lot of people who, not only for Malawi, but a lot more, have gone to, sort of neighboring countries. I remember when I was there in the late 40s and the early 50s, we had people from the then Northern Rhodesia, Southern Rhodesia, now of course Zambia and Zimbabwe, who used to train there in various fields. Some of them were carpenters, others were engineers, and my own father, in fact, actually trained there as a bricklayer. His brother, trained as a carpenter, and so Livingstonia has done quite a lot. I mean, and it's not only in Central Africa, but also in further afield in South Africa, for example. I remember that in fact his first sort of trade union, Clement Kadale, who was from Malawi. And if you go to Zambia as well, I mean, of course, we can claim, that the very first president of Zambia was his parents, at least, went there from Malawi, and I'm quite sure they passed through Livingstonia. So it is, Livingstonia has had a lot of impact, and it continues. So it's very pleasing to see that the institution has grown and evolved into what it is now, and sort of has a lot of impact on the development of not only Malawi but neighboring countries as well. I've been associated with this fundraising effort for the university for just a few years. In fact, the first time I think it was about 2 years ago when we participated in sort of a fundraising function here. But I would like to thank particularly the people involved in this effort, not only Donna, but a lot of other Americans, who, I mean, I am impressed by their dedication. I'm quite sure, we Malawians, all of us, appreciate, the efforts that they're making. And I'm quite sure they'll be satisfied, to see the results of, what the institution is producing. Thank you very much, Zipa, for introducing me. Thank you.
Hey, Charles. That's wonderful. When you mentioned 72 years, I said, where was I?
I'm just wondering where you were.
I'm just wondering where was I. But anyway, that's very rich history that we need to know at this stage in time when we are saying we are here. But what happened before we came here, and what should we do going forward? Okay. So I don't want to talk about myself, but I want to talk about everybody else who's volunteered to see the University of Livingstonia grow and be where it is now. I still want to mention one of my good amigos, because the 3 amigos, Ken, Zipa, and our colleague Kenya, we are the 3 amigos who went to talk about the science equipment at the Laws campus of Livingstonia. So you should be the fourth amigo.
Okay.
Now that you were there even way before we went there. But I'm very grateful and thank you for all the contribution and the history you've shared.
Welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you. Have a good visit. I don't know when you'll return home, but home is everywhere. Malawi, America, and we are glad that you are part of this function.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome our Excellency Ambassador Edward Sawerengera, who's been the representative and ambassador of Malawi to the US since August 2016. So that's 4 years ago. His main motto and delight is helping young people identify their purpose in life. He believes in the youth to receive education and prepare them from the present as well as the future. Ladies and gentlemen, Ambassador Edward Sawerengera. I don't want to joke to say, meet my 3 classmates in Malawi. This is Ambassador Sawerengera. Him and I spent 3 years together as the University of Malawi students at our Bunda College of Agriculture. Ambassador, your turn.
Let me start by recognizing President of the foundation, UNILIA Foundation, Mrs. Donna Chira, and all board members of the foundation. I should also recognize Reverend Dr. Timothy Nyasulu, Vice Chancellor of the University of Livingstonia, and all distinguished guests who are listening all over Malawi and US and wherever they are, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start by thanking Mr. Charles Muntali. His presentation, though brief, has actually motivated and inspired me. You know, he has even expanded my knowledge about Livingstonia. 72 years ago, I want also to say the same thing as Zipper. Where was I 72 years ago? I don't know. But thank you so much. We thank God that he has preserved Mr. Muntali up today to tell stories, to tell the world that Livingstonia has not only been beneficial to Malawians, but to the region in Southern Africa. So thank you so much. But also, let me also thank Donna Chira for inviting me to attend and be part of this noble event. You have not forgotten each year I've been here to invite me to be part of this fundraiser, which is a very, very important and noble cause. And that is how I got connected to this foundation. Let me also take this opportunity to thank all of you, because listening to the presentation that has been I've witnessed, those people have spoken before me. There are so many institutions and organizations, both NGOs and other organizations, that are doing good work to support higher education in Malawi through University of Livingstonia. Let me also agree with the Vice Chancellor that from his presentation, he said that fees is one obstacle, tuition fee is one obstacle to youth in Malawi attain higher education. It's indeed true. And this is the reason why I would want to thank the foundation for actually coming up with this program, this initiative to raise funds. And in one of their support activities is a tuition fee for the needy students. University of Livingstonia, as I said earlier on, is contributing a lot to the development of Malawi. Let me remind everybody, I know you know it, a well-trained and educated workforce is key to the nation's prosperity. So Malawi cannot develop if the youth are not properly and adequately educated. Yes, education is not cheap. It's very expensive. It requires huge financial resources. But that is the starting point of meaningful investment in a country. We need finances to build learning infrastructures, to pay staff salaries at emoluments, to purchase teaching and learning materials as well as equipment, etc. The revenue base in Malawi falls short of financing quality education. And yet we do have ambitious youth who are ready and eager to learn, as we have seen from this program. UNILIA Foundation, your initiatives such as the one you are doing today, the fundraising for University of Livingstone, are going a long way to lift the lives of youth in Malawi. It is a gift that can neither be forgotten nor taken away from them. Your acts of generosity and selflessness are helping our youth in Malawi to prepare for the joy of service in their beautiful country and the world as a whole. Our president and the government of Malawi realize the great need to invest in education. In his recent State of the Nation address, His Excellency Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, President of the Republic of Malawi, stressed his belief in education as a catalyst for national development. He further stated that such education should be accessible to all and must be of quality. But our resources as a country are inadequate, yet social needs are wide across all sectors. That is why, Madam Chair, Madam President of UNILIA Foundation, I salute your foundation for dedicating time to raise funds for the University of Livingstone, and you have done this annually since the foundation was formed. University of Livingstone has done so much that the intake into higher education in Malawi has been increased, giving opportunity to a larger number of youth to be educated. Thank you, University of Livingstone Foundation, for the noble cause you are undertaking. Let me echo the voice of Paul in his letter to Galatians chapter 6, verse 9. And Paul said this: do not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if you do not give up. I therefore appeal to University of Livingstone Foundation never to become weary in doing good for Malawi. The president of UNILIA Foundation and members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, education is very crucial, and Malawi is expecting to move out of the poverty nation because we are over 55 years of independence. And yet, if you want to find the location of Malawi on the world list of countries, ranking from the richest to the poorest, you will find us at the bottom. If you want to see Malawi, you should start from the bottom and you will be within the first from the bottom, the first 20, and that's not good enough. And one of the reasons why we are still lying down there is because our population is so uneducated. We have not attained, most of the people have not attained a higher education, certificate. So Malawi is hungry for this very important, program education. And I want to thank you once again, UNILIA Foundation, for making it possible to continue supporting and setting aside, sacrificing their resources to support the functioning of the university as well as the tuition of some of the needy students. I want to tell you in this, popular song that one day tazamwemwetera pakuvironga. Once again, Zipa, I want to congratulate you for actually handling this and directing this program very well. You make me always proud as one of your colleagues who know you even way back 40 years ago. And thank you so much for taking the time to be part of this. Thank you very much. Yeo chomene, zimu kwa mkwambiri.
Thank you, Ambassador. I don't think anyone of us has any other better words to say apart from thanking you sincerely for having spared your very busy schedule and time.
Sorry, Zipa. I forgot. I want to pledge also. I want to support. I know one of the reasons why I think I usually participate in this one is to make contribution to this, great cause. So I want to assure the members of the foundation that my contribution is on its way to the bag, to the heart. Thank you.
No, we cannot thank you, H.E. We can't thank you enough, and we appreciate your generosity. And what I was saying was that for you to agree to participate in this noble cause, there aren't enough words that can be expressed apart from saying, keep up. And in Nijichewa we say, muzigona kutali ndi moto. Literary translation is sleep very far away from fire so that the fire should not destroy you to stop you from doing the good thing that you're supposed to be doing. So on behalf of the foundation board members and on my own behalf, I thank you and appreciate your time during this time of need where we are still saying we need education for Malawians as a country, and that is one of the sustainable development goals of the United Nations as we know it today. Thank you, Chief. Now I hand over to our president, Mrs. Donna Chirwa, to take over and probably say a few words before we close. Donna, your turn.
Okay. Thank you, Zipa. Oh my goodness, what a wonderful afternoon. And thank you so much, Your Excellency. It's wonderful that, as Zipa said, that you take the time to spend with us every year. And you've always supported the university financially, as well as smoothing the way for some of the things that the foundation volunteers were looking to do in Malawi. And it's just, I don't have words to thank you. You talked about how Charles Muntali had inspired you. Well, both you and Charles inspire me to keep going with this, and I'm sure all the board members would agree. So thank you very, very much for being here. I want to thank all the presenters. I want to thank Marvin, who has, Kualembe, who has been just wonderful in the background, keeping everything going, even through all the issues that we had at the beginning. For some of the folks who may not have been able to get on Facebook, he has suggested we might be able to do some kind of a little program or a rerunning of this at some point, and this is being recorded, so people still can see it. But I have been part of the Malawi community for over 50 years, and I never get tired of listening to the stories and the efforts and the intelligence and everything that just goes into something like the University of Livingstonia. I'm very, very honored to be a part of this. So thank you again to everyone who has been on here today. And I think that now, probably Marvin, if you can show that slideshow that we had at the beginning once again. I would again like to honor Donald Sasser, Ruth's husband, who had been with us for a number of years, and we have all been saddened by his passing, but his spirit is always with us. And so I think, Marvin, if you can run that video again. And then after that, what we usually do when we have a in-person fundraiser, we have a wonderful meal where we can sit around and talk. And so we aren't able to do that this year, but hopefully we'll see what happens next year. But for this afternoon, I would just challenge each person after the video or after the slideshow that Marvin will put up. He will put up some music, and wherever you are, just get up and be happy that you are on this earth and part of this journey, and that we have people in our lives to love us and care about us, and that we can do the same for them. So goodbye to everyone, Yewo, and I will be talking with all of you very shortly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Donna, and it was nice to be your MC, and looking forward to meet in person next time. And I appreciate each one of you for your time and allowing me to be in front of you with my better young brother and colleague, Marvin. Marvin, you've done a good job, and I would like to thank you. Without you, this wouldn't have been possible. So thank you on my own behalf. Goodbye, everybody.
Maksudnya waktu